Hello, another edition of Pop Culture Talk. Great stories. We got the team here. We got Ken on the far side. We got Phil in the middle.
Hello, it's me.
Phil a voice again. Except he's visual. He's Phil a visual now.
And voice.
And voice. And yours truly. And so here we are. We're going to be talking Spider-Man Far From Home this month. We also we've got some other cool things to talk about, but we don't want to step on Spidey's toes here, even though he's probably swinging above us. Let's kick it off right now. Let's talk about how this movie was. How was it received? How did you guys enjoy it? What stood out about it, and what didn't work?
All right. Well, I guess I just kind of took the reins there. I guess I'll start.
Yeah.
I actually really liked this movie. Yes, I actually went to the movies to see a Marvel movie this time around. Usually wait till it comes out on DVD.
Oh, golf clap. Sorry.
Yeah, golf clap. But yeah, I actually went to see it, and I had a great time with it. Ken?
Oh, I liked it a lot. I thought it was really funny.
Yeah.
I liked how it was a direct continuation off of Endgame, especially.
Absolutely.
What was funny is that my friend that I went to go see the show with hadn't seen Endgame. And as soon as the movie started, I just thought to myself, and I just kind of said, "Oh, actually, this might spoil a thing or two for you. I'm not sure." And then, of course, the first 5 minutes, we're spoiling for everyone, right?
Of course.
Of course.
Spoilers abound.
Yeah.
Spoilers everywhere.
So the first
Everywhere.
5 minutes is just like a memorial to all the people that died during the Endgame battle, and I was just like,
That's right.
Can I
so
just
now
say
you probably don't need to see the movie.
Can I just say I love that it was done in a Windows Movie Maker? You
Yeah.
can clearly tell that a high schooler made this.
Yeah, right. That was really great. That was this is clearly just a home, a high school TV production.
And I couldn't get over how cheesy it was. I'm like, what is going on here? What? This is so awful.
Just
why is it
terrible.
this is just terrible?
Terrible
what is going on here?
graphics,
And then
awful wipes.
The horrible CG doves,
Yeah.
come right out of a John Woo movie. And you got Whitney Houston just belting it out for everyone.
yes,
But it was nice
And then-
immediately they tell us they kind of explained what happened as far as
Yeah.
questions that we had after Endgame, what was happening with the people that came back. How come some people looked like they were the same age even though 5 years had passed?
Right.
And they went ahead and they cleared that all up within the first 10 minutes of the movie.
yep.
Yeah,
That was pretty
I
sweet.
really liked that.
It's great how this movie can fit itself into to the larger Avengers movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but still then bring it back down to such a micro level,
Right.
with real people.
Yeah,
Neighbor-
it-
the
a
neighbor-
real people
yeah,
level.
The neighborhood the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Exactly.
I like how it shows the cosmic event from not the superhero's perspective, how we would perceive that incident of hey, half the world just kind of disappeared and then they just
Right.
came back out of the blue.
Yeah.
And
Well, not out of the blue, but 5 years later, and everyone was confused.
And to that point, actually, so we've seen all these movies from the perspective of the superheroes. And so the superheroes know it as a snap, right? Because that's what
Yeah.
they
Right.
witnessed, they know of, right? And what are all the little people call it?
The blink? Is
The
that what-
blip.
The blip, yeah.
The blip,
The blip.
because that's
'Cause no one
it
has a
sounds
name.
Because no
funnier.
one's watched Thanos do this.
Yeah.
right.
So
No, they just saw everyone blip out of existence.
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that those little nuances were actually kind of clever and nice. It
Very
showed
natural.
that very
It's a
natural.
very natural progression of how the world perceives what we've seen as an audience.
Yes, exactly. And speaking of that, so the blip did some kind of interesting things, right? So we get to see the effects of that on average high school students and what it all meant to them in
Yeah.
their world, right? And that was people who blipped out of existence coming back.
And they were the same age.
Their younger siblings were now
Older
Older
than
than
them.
they were.
Right.
Classmates that they had are now grades ahead of them. It's all very strange for them. I think it was Flash was one of those people who blipped out, and when he came back, he's like, "Oh, I'm 21 now. I can do whatever I want. I'm technically an adult." And it's
Yes.
no, you're still a child. Sit back down.
you still can't get a drink.
You still
Sorry.
can't drink in. You still can't drink in Europe, buddy.
That's right. That's
I
right.
mean, in Europe you could though. I mean, you can drink when you're like 16 in Europe.
You know,
Is
that's
that
fair.
everywhere in Europe?
I mean, certainly on international flights. Like I remember getting served when I was like 50.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you take full advantage? You don't have to answer that question now.
I did.
Big reveal. Ken drank
Oh my
on
God.
an international flight.
Oh no.
I hope my mom's not. I mean, there's no way my mom's watching this, so.
We do not endorse this message. But yeah,
Cool movie.
Yeah, no, it was really
But-
it was really interesting to see that progression of like how people have like handled the blip, and even like when people blipped back, like seeing like how the world is kind of coping with those hey, everyone's back. Like I was displaced from my home during the blip because someone was occupying my house. Like we
Right.
saw that there's like a whole support group about that, which
true.
was interesting to see. It was Aunt May was running that with help from Happy and Stark Industries.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's right.
that was kind of cool.
That was cool.
Um,
One thing I noticed though was that there were no obvious signs of the apocalypse of the blip in this movie.
right.
Whereas, like in the Endgame movie, that was like a major feature. You saw like desolate areas of cities, things that were in total disrepair, things that maybe have been trashed. You know,
Right, due to
and-
neglect and yeah.
So I assume, and I thought that was kind of weird that we maybe didn't see some of that in the settings from the Spider-Man film.
Right. But then again, we also, for most of the film, we're in like big locations that people probably would still care about and try and maintain. Like, like we said, with our spoilers all throughout this. So, we go to like Venice and Prague and
That's true. We didn't
Lo-
visit Detroit here, did we?
no, we didn't visit
Right.
Detroit. I mean, Detroit's already destroyed. Let's not mince words.
With
here,
all due
people.
respect to Michiganders.
Yeah, Detroit's not gonna be happy about that.
No, sorry.
Detroit can come and collectively get me if they want it.
This man does not speak for all of us.
No, I do not speak for great stories. I speak specifically for me. Don't tell anyone where I actually live. Don't dox me. No, but all the big cities that like people would care about as like cultural milestones, like I think they tried to maintain. I mean, like that's a way to look at it.
Yeah,
That's how I kind of perceived it. So
Yep. that's a good point.
Oh, well, I think to Chris's point, I mean, this did seem like it happened like immediately after the Thanos battle, and it didn't seem like anything had really changed that much afterwards.
No.
You would have expected after that, gigantic battle that they had, that there would have been some collateral damage to clean up.
yeah,
One would think.
one would
think
think,
so.
but I think that's also kind of the point of this, is that they're trying to take it out from the cosmic scale and kind of put it, for the first part anyway, back into Spider-Man's home arena,
Yeah, sure.
like to kind of focus more on the human element of it. And
But I think to Chris's point is that they spent all this time, putting these details to make it seem like very recent, and like to tie it back to all that, all the things that happened. It is weird that they didn't show more of like the harmful aftermath of the end game.
Right.
No, that's
Right.
fair.
Because
That's fair
people
and
were
valid.
put back in place, but not necessarily things.
Right.
So
No,
who,
that's fair.
Who would have done it? I mean, like you'd figured the biggest philanthropist that would have been like putting stuff together would be Tony, because like he has the technology, but he's gone. So, what Avenger is like equipped to like rebuild infrastructure at this point?
that's
Right.
a good point.
I
Yep.
mean, Pepper's still there, so she could probably
Oh, hey,
she could probably fund and finance a lot of those infrastructure.
that's right. And then like I guess like
Damage control.
I mean,
Black
Happy,
Panther and Shuri are still kicking around, so they'd probably help on that too.
and Happy did come
True.
to their like a charity event they were doing with a $500,000 check signed by Pepper. So
Yep.
Yeah, valid point. Okay.
that's something to think about too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
No, I'm glad we worked through that.
Yeah.
we thought it through, people. Like, we're not just spouting out random exposition. Like, we actually think it through.
The funny thing is, I didn't even think about that whole like disrepair thing until just now when we were sitting here, and it was like,
Right, when we're actually
Oh.
thinking about it and those questions come up, and
Yeah.
we rationalize through it.
mm-hmm.
I think going back to the point you made that they're trying to tie back to the previous Marvel, the bigger Marvel universe. I thought it was really interesting the way that they tied in Mysterio into the larger
Yes.
Marvel universe. Not so much Mysterio himself, but also his larger crew that's working for him. And I'm kind of getting
fantastic.
I'm kind of getting ahead of ourselves because we haven't
Right.
discussed it. So I mean, we are comic nerds. So as soon as we find out like Mysterio is featured heavily in this movie and he shows up as a hero fighting on the side of Shield, like we all know something's up.
Yeah,
From the multiverse.
I
What a
loved,
nice feint.
love that the reference 616 and everything.
Yeah.
yeah, Earth 616.
Yep.
I saw that. I'm like, are they doing this?
Yeah.
Are they actually going through with this? And then
Yeah.
we find out it's all a lie. And I'm like, wait, but how did that one guy know about 616?
And it was so easy to accept too after the Into the Spider-Verse
Yes.
animated film that had just come out.
Yes.
Where they kind of put in the concept finally, right?
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no, this makes
they're
perfect
trying to tie
sense.
this all together now.
But
So that was a great. Well, say
Great
I don't want to blow the
misdirection.
spot. It was a misdirection. Yes.
But I mean, like
But-
we weren't surprised, but like the person I went to go see the movie with, she's into Marvel movies, but really isn't that deep into their histories, and she was completely blown away. Like seriously, like turned to me, gasped the whole thing when it got revealed, and I was like, "Yeah, you can." It's okay.
yeah, surprise, surprise, he's actually a villain.
But when they reveal that his crew, like they kind of show these clips
Great
going all the way
sequence.
back to like the first Iron Man, right?
Yeah,
Incredible
way back to
sequence.
the beginning of the cinematic universe.
And all these like these cast-offs from just like random background
Background characters.
characters
Yeah.
from the old Iron Man movies, and like they get like kind of dumped on.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they're
They're
showing up
here.
all together here.
Yeah.
That was
Oh,
so neat.
what
I love that our villains are just disgruntled Stark employees.
They're all just disgruntled employees. That was
You
great.
just got very angry employees.
that kind of continuity is what really can. It's that attention to detail
Oh,
that is what makes the Marvel Cinematic Universe so successful.
Yeah, it really does feel that like cohesion, right? Everything is tied together.
Everything
yeah.
means something.
And there's like whether or not
Even-
they do it purposely at the time or they just kind of throw it in afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
I was telling my dad about this because he is going to wait until the movie comes out on DVD or on Netflix. So he's like, go ahead, tell me things. I'm like, well, our Rogues Gallery of Villains includes a bunch of background characters from the Iron Man movies. And he's like, what? So I explained the one that he would
Unsuspecting.
recognize being the one that Obadiah yells at in
Yes.
the first Iron Man. And he goes, wait, really? He's a bad guy? I'm like, yeah. It's kind of cool, actually. It's interesting to see.
But they don't view what's great is that they really don't view themselves as bad guys.
No,
At all.
That's.
No.
I mean, the last thing they do in the movie is kind of a villainish thing to do, but you can justify it that they think they're right.
Yeah.
I think that's a common theme amongst most like evil villains, right?
Yeah, most evil villains don't actually think they're evil. They're
They're
complex-
saving the world, but
and they're antagonists, but not necessarily evil.
I think it's a also it's like the ends justify the means to
Yes.
whatever ends, right?
Right.
If it means that, and that was one of the things that Mysterio was saying is like, hey, we got to have an event of mass casualty in order to really get eyeballs on this, to really make
Right.
me a superhero. He was like thinking, oh, we're gonna save the world, but a lot of people are gonna have to die in order for that to come
Right.
to
People
reality.
need a hero
That's
to
right.
believe in,
Yeah.
Yep.
which I don't know if I would ever trust someone like Beck. He's just a little too unstable for me.
Yeah, it's not that transparent.
No. Well, hence his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real
A little,
Mysterio.
a little too Mysterio for us.
Speaking of names, one of the funniest code names I thought came out of this. So when when Spider-Man's in where is he in Prague? At that point?
Prague, yes.
And
He's
he's
in
trying
his,
to convince people that it wasn't Spider-Man. He's in his black like tactical outfit.
Ned's European knockoff version of Spider-Man. Well, what's he
Yes.
called? Night Monkey.
Night Monkey.
Night Monkey.
And then that, like, for
Loved
whatever
it.
reason, that catches on, and
It's
Europe
stuck.
is aware of Night Monkey. Like, was it Peter makes it to Germany, and like he starts asking people like for directions, and like they start panicking, and they're like, "It's Night Monkey, Das Night Monkey," and they like run away, and he's like, "Why Night Monkey?"
That and the whole introduction of the Peter Tingle
Oh, the Peter
was
thing.
another brilliant.
That made me so uncomfortable. Like, I think that was the point. Like, let's just make Spider-Sense like feel really weird. It's the Peter Tingle. Like,
But a lot of people were like upset that there really hadn't been too much reference to his Spidey sense,
Yeah.
right, in the movies. Aside from that time you see his
Yeah.
hair,
Goosebumps, yeah.
His
Yeah.
goosebumps go off. Yeah.
exactly, and which was very vague reference to it. But finally we kind of get the nod. Here's the acknowledgement for those of you out there who are upset that we have not revealed this officially as a Spider-Man ability.
I kind of
We
have
get the
this,
Peter tingle.
this sixth sense.
Thank you,
the
Aunt
Peter
May.
Tingle. Your Aunt May told me about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Don't call it that.
Please don't call it that. John Favreau, we know you're directing these. We know you got these ideas. Stop calling it a Peter Tingle.
I
Please.
loved it.
It was great.
I hope they keep calling it the Peter Tingle.
Just so you're aware, I wasn't saying don't call it that. I was actually quoting
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Peter
No.
Parker.
I was just kind
Is
of.
it-
I felt like that's what Tom Holland's like. Don't call it that. To like John Favreau specifically was like, please stop. That's weird.
Yes.
I felt like that was not necessarily Peter the character. I felt that was more like Tom saying like, stop calling it that, please.
But it probably was a legit off-script.
Yeah, like improv line. But
They just decided to keep it
Yeah.
because it just fits so perfect.
Yeah.
exactly. But we mentioned Mysterio and Beck.
Mm-hmm.
How do we feel about him as like, apart from his character, like the persona of Mysterio? How do we feel about that? Like his plan, the way he was utilizing it, like, because I thought it was a really cool idea. Like they took Mysterio, who was kind of a C-list villain in the Marvel canon, and they made him something interesting and actually really impressive to look at. Because one, Mysterio's whole presentation of like his costume, like his very otherworldly like design and look, like I thought that was really cool. The fact that he kind of mirrors Doctor Strange's like magic and like the magic of Doctor Strange with instead of orange beams, it's green. Like kind of harkens to Strange, but at the same time, it's also harkens to in the comics when he was like an amateur magician and spellcaster.
Sure.
I thought those were all really interesting, like nods to the old comics.
Didn't one of the characters make a reference? Is like, hey, is that like your guy from?
Yeah, is that Doctor Strange?
Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Strange.
Right.
And it's like,
Yeah.
no, it's Doctor Strange. Which I thought that was Aunt May that said that.
Yeah, that was funny. That was a nice little nod to that exact point.
Yeah.
I thought the most interesting part of Mysterio was like we knew that he was going to be a master of illusion and deception, but the greatest illusion that he played was his story.
Yes.
And I thought that was a very poignant remark they were making about just like the story's got to be crazy enough that people are going to believe it,
Right.
And like it was just crazy enough, and as us as comic fans, like hearing the 616 and knowing what we did about Spider-Man, you thought like, oh, maybe they are doing this.
Yeah.
Maybe
Absolutely.
I almost bought it because like I watched Into the Spider-Verse this year. I'm just like, okay, so I know that at least someone is putting it out there into the movie-going audience that there are multiple dimensions, especially with Spider-Man. I mean, all of Marvel in general, but Spider-Man specifically has multiple dimensions.
Yes.
So the fact that they brought it into Far From Home, I'm like, okay, maybe I could buy it. I don't know. Like maybe it's real. And then like when it was revealed like how they were doing it, I'm like, oh, okay, no, this actually makes total sense.
Well, I think we shouldn't discount that Marvel will actually go there
Oh, of course they will. But
for reals.
Oh, at one point
You
I think
know,
they will. But I think the like one of the broader topics they're also bringing is like just social commentary on like a lot of conspiracy theorists, where like someone says that vaccines will give your kid autism, right? That's just like kind of outrageous and absurd enough that people might believe it.
yeah,
I think that
It's
I think
the-
that was like part of the underlying tone of that message was that there's a lot of misinformation out there,
Yeah.
and that usually it's the crazier stories that actually pick up traction, because if it's not insane enough, it's not going to get played.
exactly.
That's a good point.
I thought
That's a
it was
really
right.
good
I
point.
thought it was cleverly done.
Yep.
Right.
I liked that you had a villain here who, unlike Thanos or something like that, wasn't this all-powerful thing. He was more of a showman and politician.
Yeah,
That's
and-
kind of how I viewed Quentin Beck.
He was almost
You
like Stark in that way. Just he had just like tech and charisma.
Charisma.
Yeah, charisma.
Exudes
Absolutely.
charisma.
A lot of like a huge ego.
Yes.
Yes, just with that slight bit of being unhinged, and also, I kind of took that he was hyper OCD, like everything had to be perfect.
Yeah, I mean the thing when he was steaming his cape.
Yeah, like
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
that. Like obviously that was both done for comedic purposes, but like to me that's just like, okay, this guy is hyper meticulously detailed, which you would expect from someone who is supposed to be like a master illusionist.
Yeah.
But like it got to the point where I'm like, okay, this guy is like, I can see where his crazy is going, and it makes me really uncomfortable. Like it made me, I kind of, this is kind of like my own personal thing. Like when I see like psychopathic people who are hyper OCD about specific things, it kind of makes me think of like Silence of the Lambs and like what was it, Buffalo Bill? Like he was also like kind of detailed about specific things, and that just like makes like everything about Buffalo Bill makes me uncomfortable. So like when I see other people like kind of doing that same thing, I'm like, oh yeah, no, I don't want to go there.
Well, he'd go from this like very charming, charismatic type of dude to being very intense.
Yes.
And you're like, is he about to like really go off the rails here and do something really crazy?
Yeah.
You know, and you never actually. I mean, he did something crazy. He orchestrated something crazy. But he himself, I don't think ever did something that I anticipated him doing. I expected him to go full on psycho at some point.
Exactly, like you expect it to happen. And
you know, but he always seemed to have that when he would get into those intense moments, the ability to, you know, take it to that next level.
Like what Walter did in Homecoming, where he just like straight up murders one of his own guys. Like,
yes,
it was like, I don't think anyone saw that coming. Like, he seemed like,
well, Michael Keaton is a national treasure.
Oh, of course, but like it was one of those things that no one was I don't think anyone was expecting when he just like straight up murders one of his goons. Like, with that in mind, like you see like Beck, like building up like the psycho, and you think like he's gonna have to kill someone.
He's gonna do something like that. He doesn't.
Exactly. Like that's what
he brings it right back. Yeah. So I don't know. It's great to see this like pantheon of villains that they're throwing at us, and they all have their own personality quirks.
Exactly.
They're all kind of their own person.
Yeah.
You know, I like that. We're not getting some kind of like, all right, let's just draw this thing of cards here and just give you generic villain A, B, C. You know,
or like the obvious ones, be like, oh, let's do Green Goblin for like the third time. Let's do like
let's do Electro right after Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Let's do Doc Octopus for like the third time. You know, it's nice that we're getting actually some of these more obscure villains, and it'd be cool if we saw like some more obscure ones in the future. Like we're talking about, like maybe we see Craven or like
Craven Hunter, or
that'd be awesome.
Because I mentioned to Ken earlier that I think it'd be really cool if, I'm not saying they will do this, but like I kind of think it'd be really cool if like by the end of like the Spider-Man series of movies, we have had all the Sinister Six show up in these Spider-Man movies, and we were like, that's a lot of movies to expect a single villain from each one. And I'm like, well, they don't have to be one villain for each movie. Like you could have Craven Hunter and like Doc Ock in the same movie,
sure,
or Green Goblin and Electro teaming up, or like not even really teaming up, but like trying to take down Spider-Man in their own ways.
Yep.
I mean, like that's a thought, but I would like to see the Sinister Six, because like I always thought that the Six were really cool, like the epitome of Spider-Man's villains.
Yep.
And who knows? Maybe we'll get a live-action Kingpin in a Spider-Man
Possibly.
cinematic movie.
Possibly.
I mean, we got him in Daredevil and the Punisher
and Spider-Verse.
Vincent D'Onofrio was fantastic in that role.
I
would love to see his version of Wilson Fisk come to the big screen. I think would be awesome.
Yeah, I think it'd be really cool, because the last big screen Kingpin we got was, apart from Spider-Verse, was Michael Clark Duncan in Daredevil, which I like Michael Clark Duncan as much as the next guy, but Daredevil with Ben Affleck little too goofy for most people's taste nowadays. Most people.
Even back in the day when it came out, I don't think it ever.
No, it never really got the grounds that.
I don't think so either.
No, it didn't. It didn't do well enough because we were still kind of reeling from goofy Spider-Man movies.
Did not make my Blu-ray shelf.
No, mine neither.
Well, getting back to Spider-Man,
Yeah.
I think one of the topics we have to cover, because it was such a big part of the movie, was the love story between Peter and MJ.
Yes.
And actually just love in general, with these bunch of like pubescent teenagers going on a school trip to Europe. And I thought that was such a good angle as far as like to bring the whole like cosmic thing that they've been doing with Avengers and really bring it back to something personal, because
Yes.
you know, just like school trips is something that I remember very fondly and nostalgically on. And you know, it's always just a you know, just a event where anything can happen. and
Exactly.
specifically like, you know, your romantic interests.
Absolutely.
And also, what kind of school did they go to where they send their sophomore class to Europe, like tour through Europe?
The good one.
Yeah, absolutely a good one.
just like-
and they obviously sent some top-notch chaperones on the trip, so they had no concerns
Yeah, how
whatsoever.
did they hire those chaperones? They had the most amazing chaperones.
It's the witches. We see, science has gone out the door. Welcome to the Dark Ages. It's the witches.
Oh,
I think that was my favorite like side character was the science teacher who's just like, science doesn't matter anymore. We're back in the Dark Ages.
we're back in the Dark Ages.
He's like studying the history of witchcraft. I'm like, my boy, what are you doing?
yeah.
It's not the witches.
J.B. Smooves.
JB Smooze.
Yep. And the other teacher was Martin Starr.
Yeah, he was perfectly pathetic and spineless. Like,
Is totally spineless, a bumbling.
I love he's trying to take like
Bumbling
the
teacher.
he's trying to take the selfie without actually holding the camera, and he like sets it
Yeah.
on a timer, and he like takes the picture, and then like he goes to pick up his camera, and you're like, okay, he's
He
gonna
almost
drop
drops it in the
He
water.
almost drops it, and then he like actually drops it, and he's just
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
I like
he
that
was-
comes back in the credits too. Like his pictures that he's taken are like his credit shot is like him like holding his camera and then like him dropping it into the water.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was great.
And how much did you want him to get hit with a Nick Fury trank dart
Oh,
in that
so
scene?
many times. So many times.
when he knocks on the door when
Yeah.
Nick Fury's in the room?
I liked when Ned got shot and he was like, that was probably the coolest thing that ever happened to me.
Yes.
Oh, so,
Never been so happy to get tranked.
Yeah.
Ned was great in this movie. Like I liked Ned the first time around, but like
Mm-hmm.
I was probably laughing way more at Ned than like any of the other jokes, because he's acting like all like mature and grown up now that he's got a girlfriend.
Quite the ladies' man.
Very
Mm-hmm.
smooth, and he's just like, those dreams, those are the dreams of a boy, and now I've met a woman, and the boy's become a man. It's like, dude, you're like 15. What are you talking about? It's like it's interesting to like look back at it at like the way teenagers think. You know,
Yes.
having been a teenager only like a few years ago, I'm just like, my God, I did think like that. Like I thought I knew everything. I knew nothing. I still know nothing.
It's part of it. It's just part of
It's-
growing up.
Exactly, and I'm just like, it was relatable. I could laugh because I related to it. I thought I knew everything as a 15-year-old, and
Leading in the darkness.
exactly.
But
So
yeah. So Zendaya, sorry.
Zendaya?
Zendaya,
Zednaya?
Zendaya?
Yeah.
is that how you pronounce it?
Zednaya? I
Zed-
think so.
Zendaya?
I always thought it was Zendaya, like Zen. That's how I always spelled it.
Disney kid, right?
She's awesome.
I love her. Like
I was totally in love with her.
Yeah.
yeah, she's a
Yeah.
great actress.
I was thinking that. I'm like,
What?
she's definitely Ken's type.
Yeah, she like has a, like I don't give a crap attitude,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, she,
Yeah.
yeah, she doesn't care at all.
She's kind of like
She's
a punk
she's
kid
her own
and
person,
awesome.
and she doesn't
Yeah.
care
Yeah.
who she offends. Fun fact: she's going to be in the new Dune movie coming out next year.
Oh, nice.
She's going to be Chani.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that's something to look forward to. If
Sure,
you like,
we'll be talking about that in a future program.
you better believe we are. Sorry, but
That's it.
Okay,
guess-
I'll believe it.
I guess Phil doesn't just like kaiju; he also loves Dune.
I do.
So this is
It's
I
my
got
favorite
giant
sci-fi
monster
property.
worms, so I guess that's right up his alley.
good point. Not
Yeah.
too far afield from our kaiju.
It's my favorite
giant,
sci-fi.
Giant monsters.
no, don't judge me. It's my favorite sci-fi. It's better than Star Wars.
We. I can't
Wayne,
believe
don't
you.
at me.
I can't believe you just said that.
Wow.
Throwing down the gauntlet. We are going to get some angry remarks this month.
Absolutely.
Yep.
You
Exclusively
you just,
at me. These
yeah.
guys have nothing
Detroit,
to do with it.
You
Star
just-
Wars fans, he just calling down the thunder.
He's triggering all sorts of folks.
Oh,
out
Brandon.
there.
Brandon's already gonna give me what for it. So,
He will.
I
he
think the
will.
last thing we have to talk about the movie, because we're kind of running out of time, is
Yeah.
the final credits.
Oh,
Oh my God!
more feints, more
Oh.
more surprises.
oh my God, so many surprises.
I mean, and by the way, talk about bringing it back.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Right? I mean,
J.
come
Jonah
on.
Jameson,
J. Jonah Jameson.
J.K. Simmons is back, everybody,
amazing.
Freaking
and
cool.
he's being the best comic book character of all time.
Yes.
No,
It's so
that's
great
not.
that they brought him back in that role.
I mean, that man was born to play JJ.
He's perfect
You
for
couldn't
it. Like
you couldn't
I
find a
can't-
more perfect candidate.
I can't think of anyone who could be a better JJ than J.K. Simmons.
Right. Yep.
And I like that it's the Daily Bugle isn't just a newspaper anymore. It also looks like it's like a web.
They've brought it into the future. They're on the net.
They're on the net.
It's the Daily Bugle net or something like that. or-
.com.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Dot
Probably
gov.
Something like that.
Like .org or something.
But now Peter's identity's out of the bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's in trouble. You know. Like,
So
So like they
Not
first,
good.
so there's the part of the premise of the story was that there are these shades that Peter inherits right from Tony.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
allows him to control these drones and all
Yep.
this and that, and he has all this advanced tech. Mysterio gets a hold of it, and like he takes a recording of himself during the final moments, and the way it's shot, it makes it look like Peter's the one. Well, Spider-Man is the one that is basically calling down the drones, causing all this havoc, and
That's
that
right.
Mysterio was fighting him the entire time. And then at the end, Mysterio drops the bomb that, but also, Spider-Man's true identity is Peter Parker, and this is broadcast everywhere.
everywhere.
And then it cuts after that,
That's right.
and like that's our mid-credit cut.
and my jaw was on the floor.
Yeah, exactly. I was like,
Yeah,
oh my gosh,
same.
like Mr. C-list villain really
Yeah.
brought it home.
It's like whoa, okay,
Like
okay.
you just done messed it up.
So I have
for,
no idea
Peter
what are they
Parker.
going to do next. I mean, now that that's going to figure heavily into the next movie.
Oh,
whatever it's
absolutely
gonna
it
be.
will.
Gosh,
So
I
can
wouldn't
we
be
say that-
surprised to see. Well, actually, he's not the only villain that knows his identity.
Vulture.
No, yeah, Vulture knows.
Yeah.
But Vulture respects him.
Yeah.
Also, because
I wonder if he's going to come back into play here at
Maybe.
some point.
I kind of thought the reason Vulture didn't say who Spider-Man was mostly to protect his daughter, because I think Vulture realized that if people know who he is, he's going to go after people that he's into or like he's talking to. So like if they know like, oh, this is Peter Parker, they might go after Vulture's daughter, who Peter was dating at the time. So that's how I always saw.
Possible.
That's how I always saw, like, if I knew who it was, do you think he'd still be alive, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was why he did that.
Yeah.
Not
It's
necessarily
possible.
to protect Peter, but to protect his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Could be. Could be.
one thing to think about.
Absolutely. And then, so what else do we find out about this movie
So,
by the end credit scene?
in this movie, we see Nick Fury and Director Hill. And they're
Rita
acting
Hill.
really standoffish and, like, don't talk to me. Like, this is the rules, you got to do this. Like, and I'm like, this doesn't feel right. Like, Nick Fury and Director Hill don't feel right in this movie. And then in the post credit scene, because it's the second post credit scene, I call it post. Anyway, we find out they're Skrulls from Captain Marvel.
Yes, exactly.
Is it Skrulls or Skrulls? I can never get it.
Skrulls.
Skrulls. Okay. Yeah, they're Skrulls filling in for Fury and Hill, who are currently in space right now.
Yeah. On a Skrull spaceship,
Yeah,
doing who knows what.
getting ready for
knows?
Sword.
Well, that is certainly what's been discussed
That's
on the dirt sheets.
Yeah, Chelsea and I, when we saw this on Friday, that's what we were talking about, like leading up
Yep.
into Sword and all that stuff. So
Yep.
It definitely seems like they're moving that to that cosmic realm. So it seems like the most obvious, villains that would be coming up next that are cosmic would be, I would say it would be Galactus.
If we bring Galactus in, that would be
Yeah,
so
very
happy.
well
It could
Galactus,
be, and now
Surfer.
they can bring Surfer in because
Does that mean they'll be bringing the
the
Four in,
Fox Disney deal is done. So
Yeah, they could bring Fantastic Four in with that. That would be amazing.
yes, it would.
Can we get a good Fantastic Four movie?
If Marvel gets it, they can.
I think so. I have high hopes.
All right.
Yeah,
Well, that's something to look
So,
forward to, guys.
definitely a lot. Marvel hasn't really Disney Marvel have not really announced what their next phase is at this
No.
point. They're keeping it in pretty.
They're keeping it really close to the chest right now.
They really are. So
So all
you know,
we can
we-
really do is speculate.
we know we're getting some bridge films like the next Black Panther, the next Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Some of the established brands are
Has
getting
James Gunn
sequels.
been brought back for
Doctor
Guardians?
Strange will get another one. What's that?
Has James Gunn been brought back for Guardians?
He
or-
has. Yeah.
Thank God.
Yep. Yeah. They made that official announcement
Good.
that
good.
he is back. So
I'm
back
glad.
in the fold.
Yes.
So there's a lot to look forward to, and I can't wait for the reveals of where they're going.
Exactly.
But it's nice. It's so great that Sony and Disney could really work this out to bring Peter Parker into the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
They're certainly set. I keep hitting this mic. For those
Sorry,
that
a little
can't
extra
see it.
percussion. Barry will appreciate that.
They can't.
Oh, I'm the one
I
who's
forgot
gonna
what I was
appreciate
gonna
I'm
say.
editing it.
I totally forgot my point that I was gonna make.
Sony and
Maybe hit it
Disney-
again, it'll come back.
Yeah, maybe I just need to hit the mic again to figure it out.
All right.
Oh, I
well,
think it seems like they're setting Spider-Man to basically be the head of the next Avengers franchise, because you think originally it was like Iron Man,
Yep.
Cap. They both have stepped down at this point.
Right.
We have like basically just like Banner and Thor. Thor we know is going to be doing in outer space, doing the Guardian.
As Guardians.
Yeah, the Asgardians of the Galaxy.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see Hulk go back in outer space.
We get Planet
Very
Hulk.
possibly.
Oh, we had Ragnarok. Which
I know,
was,
I know.
Yeah, that was kind
pretty
of a-
much Hulk.
Yeah, I know. I just
Yeah.
thought I'd like to throw that out there.
But we could see more Hulk in space. I think Space Hulk is always sweet.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
we need someone back home to lead the Avengers, and it seems like Spider-Man's going to be the man.
Yeah.
Very well could be. It's hard to envision such a young man
Yeah.
being a leader, but
How would you
he's
feel about Spider-Man leading the Avengers? Someone with so little experience.
Tom Holland and that baby face? I don't know. I don't know how we pull that off, but you know what?
I think that
I'm game for it.
I'm excited to see how it goes, but I think the next Spider-Man movie we're gonna get with Spider-Man, like being like the leader of the Avengers, he's gonna need a lot of help. I think Nick Fury's gonna be there to give him a helping hand, or maybe not. We don't know. So final ratings for Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Oh, Far From Home, big thumbs up. Loved it.
Big thumbs up.
Yep.
I'm
Yep,
giving it a
must
7
see.
out of 10. 2 thumbs up. Definitely go see it.
7 out of 10. I'll do one better. I'll go 8 out of 10.
Ooh, okay.
There we
I
go.
thought I thought the
Solid.
visual effects in that movie were just outstanding.
Okay.
The visual effects alone were worth another point.
Yeah. Guys, I'm not going to tell you the sequence of it, but if you go to see this movie, Mysterio has probably one of the coolest, like, subjective reality, like, trippy illusions that you will ever have seen.
What's real and what's not real? Yeah, complete.
Oh my gosh,
that
it's
was cool. Cool sequence.
so captivating, so mind-blowing. Like,
So well shot.
Mm-hmm.
guys, we're not going to talk about it. Just go see the movie and then tell us what you guys think in the comments below.
Absolutely.
I'm holding you to that, viewers.
All right.
All right.
So we're going to move on to our next topic here, which is something that's captivated the internet world here for the past couple weeks.
Last couple
Since,
years, really. I mean,
Well, last couple of years, but particularly
specifically-
since July 4th.
yeah.
With Stranger Things
Season three.
Yes. So the kids are back.
The boys are back in town.
Samwise is not back, though.
No.
No,
Our good
did not
boy
make
Sam.
it.
No, he didn't make it back.
Bob
But
is not back, although he is in a flashback.
well, let me just start this
That's a
off.
way of being back.
He's
I haven't finished the season,
Oh.
so I mean I don't know
Okay.
how much we can really get into the weeds with this season. Phil, have you finished it?
I have not, but I'm always willing to talk about it.
Oh, interesting. I'm the only one here who's finished. So how far did you guys get?
I'm about 5 episodes in.
Oh, so you're over halfway.
Yeah, I got a good way into it.
Yeah.
Guys, I confess, I didn't even finish season 2. I got really busy with life, and yeah, believe it or not, I have a life outside of making videos and comics. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys.
Too much responsibility there, Phil.
You know, I try.
Well, what did you think about season 2? Since we've all seen that.
Well, from what I've seen of season 2, it looked really interesting and cool. It was, I'll be honest, season 2 was kind of a slog for me to get through. Like, it took a long time to get where they wanted to go.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt too.
Probably why I didn't finish it, because it was just like, I could continue watching this, or I can get back to work. Boss is nearby. I'm gonna get back to work.
You know, I have this personality trait which sometimes works for me and oftentimes works against me, and my wife will certainly confirm this. I will, if I start a movie, no matter how bad it is,
You got to see it through.
I will see it through.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know
for
what?
better or
That's
for
fair.
worse.
Yeah.
That's fair and valid, and
It's like I'll waste this.
Like I started this thing, I'm finishing it.
I paid for the ticket. I might as well watch it.
Exactly. You know.
Get my money's
and then I
worth
can
from
really
it.
pay for it.
Yeah. Then you can suffer later.
That's
But-
right.
Chris, why don't you? I'll let you and Ken talk, and I'll ask questions. I guess
About season 3.
for season 3.
Well, let me ask you
Okay.
a question, and
Sure.
I don't mind if you spoiled this bit for me, but like
Yes.
one of the parts of season 2 that really didn't connect for me was Elle connecting with her sister from the experiments, and like kind of joining that group of street punks. Does that tie in at all into season 3? Do they reference? Because I'm 5 episodes in, and that like has not even been touched on.
So, not at all. I think it's basically a footnote in her journey as a young girl who's got a very crazy origin. It does not come into season 3 at all. But
At
did
all.
you finish season 2?
Yes.
You did finish season 2.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I think this one kind of just concentrates on her blossoming, I suppose, as a young teen.
Yeah.
Finding boys. I think the wonderful thing about Stranger Things is that they basically take these characters who are thrust into hero roles, but then all the way through the first 3 seasons, is that we have to recognize that they're just kids.
They just want to be
and
kids.
they're dealing with all the things that every kid deals with.
Yes.
Yet they've got these extraordinary circumstances that put them into these like very heroic
Situations.
heroic situations, exactly. And it was funny because my wife is like, I have no interest in watching young kids deal with relationship issues, like she doesn't care,
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, stick around a little bit because don't worry, they'll quickly move off
There's
that,
going to be other stuff. But they don't
But-
really move off it. Actually, it plays a big role, and actually, so much of Spider-Man, I felt like this was a big theme that runs throughout, at least through the first 5 episodes, is the drama between teenage romance,
Yeah, teen angst and
where it's like a lot of it's like it's mostly physical, right, and like it's not really based on these like real cerebral or intellectual or whatever.
Right.
It's really just kind of like chemistry and
it's very emotionally
Yeah.
driven.
Absolutely, but I find that to make the characters so relatable.
yeah, because-
Like it brings me back
yeah,
to when I was a kid.
right.
And again, here we have the diversity of all the kids kind of being in a different space.
Yeah.
When it comes to this stuff, so you've got the archetypes going. You've got Dustin. Dustin like curiously spends the vast majority of the season separated from his friends.
Yeah.
And with the older kids,
Yeah,
because he's formed a relationship now.
with Mike. Harrington, Steve Harrington. Yeah,
Yeah, and they've got this like they've got the couple little back and forths where they do this
Yeah.
like fake like sword like sword battle scene or whatever, and it's so like endearing yet so awkward because you have this like older kid who should not be behaving this way with this younger kid, like he's turning him into a little kid.
Steve and Dustin was like the best thing to come out of season 2. I think like their dynamic, their relationship was one of the funnest kind of combos out of all the relationships, and it was just fun when Dustin comes back. Basically, he's gone all summer to science camp. He comes back and like Steve is just elated to see him when he sees.
He is. It's like it was like long lost best friend is back. So Steve has gone this road where he was like he's
the coolest guy in school.
The coolest guy in school, and everybody loves him, and he's such a jerk. And then he turns into now he's like, it's almost like all that's been stripped away, except he's still considered cool by a lot of people, and a lot of girls still like him.
Mostly kids, though. Mostly like elementary school kids.
Mostly.
He's lost a lot of his cred.
Yeah, his cred might be, damaged, but he doesn't even care.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't even care.
That's how you know he's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
He's too cool for school.
He's too cool for school. And, but here he is now working at
Scoops Ahoy.
Scoops Ahoy, which is...
I love their outfits. They're wearing these like in anime, like one of the girls would inevitably be dressed up like a sailor, and like he's wearing that outfit with like the scarf and like the shorty shorts.
It's hysterical. It's a little ascot going on.
Yeah, I love
it. What? But just totally funny. And he's working with this girl who just like completely just is torching him. Yeah. Like every interaction he has with any customer at the counter, she's like, "Loser, you're such a loser," and all this other stuff, right? And I think he actually kind of likes it.
He's kind of a masochist in that way.
Yeah, exactly.
I think he likes the fact that she doesn't give him any nonsense.
Yes.
She's just like really straightforward and direct.
Yeah, unlike a lot of other people, maybe when he was in that cool mode, right?
Right, and he's like he can now see through all the baloney. And now he's like, all right, this girl's kind of cool.
Exactly, and then Dustin. Call him Dusty because he is called Dusty by some people in the film, right?
Yeah, he's got an interesting relationship.
Yeah, he's got the, according to his friends, the imaginary girlfriend
who lives from camp.
The girlfriend from camp, like I have a girlfriend in another state.
Yeah, I think we've all heard the story. Like, we were on vacation together, and I met this girl from California. Yeah, you guys don't know her, but yeah, totally this thing going on.
But she's the best. Yeah. All this other stuff. Yeah. She's this and that. And everyone's like rolling their eyes, going, "Okay, here we go."
I know that. I've had friends who said that. I'm like, yep, okay. Let me see a picture, or it's not real.
That's it.
We have.
That's it. So then we continue on. We've got
Mike and Max.
Yes.
The couple that got together in season 2.
Yep.
They're still together. They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like Max also. She's like another very straightforward. Doesn't take any crap.
Exactly. It's that relationship is great.
Not Mike.
Not Mike. It's I was just actually looking here. I'm drawing a blank here for the moment. Lucas. Yep. Lucas and Max.
Yeah.
So they're doing their thing, and so you get like the two couples, right? So you get Lucas and Max, and then you've got Elle with
Mike.
With Mike. Yeah. And they get their thing going, and of course, Elle is struggling. Well, they're all struggling, but Hopper is her dad.
Yeah. And
he's struggling with the whole, my girl is starting to come of age and get interested in boys thing.
Yeah.
And that whole dynamic there where he's like, the 3 inches, keep that door open 3 inches. It's like, it's so great.
The struggle that every dad goes through with their daughters.
Exactly. The overprotective dad,
Yep.
And finally, we get to see Elle abuse her powers for ill.
I mean, temptation is just too strong. I mean, if you had that power, how could you not?
Exactly.
Every once in a while, drop in. Like, I don't know. I would have abused that power.
I mean, you got two girls coming together, best friends there, Elle and Max, and you have this ability? Oh, well, let's spy on our boyfriends.
Yeah.
What are they doing right now? Yeah. And that was a pretty funny scene.
You know what I also loved? So the last character that we haven't talked about is Will. Will's character. And there's something really interesting going on in this season, so far this season, which was the sense of them growing up,
Yes.
them beating out, because this season, like, they've been growing up throughout season 1 and 2, but like it's become very apparent in season 3 that they're maturing into adolescents, into adults.
Yes.
And part of the thing that we're seeing with Stranger Things is that it was very heavily based on nostalgia, on our own personal nostalgia. And we've all had to go through that experience of maturing, growing out of these things, leaving childish things behind so that we can move on. And Will is experiencing that, like, in the show, where he still wants to just like play D&D.
He's resisting.
Hang out in the arcade. And for him, moving on past that has been very difficult. And I love the way that they're portraying that in the show. I think he has one of the most interesting moments as a character.
100%. And you can kind of understand that his character, like, it makes sense based on his experience.
Yes, what he's been through. Like,
what he's been through,
yeah.
being away, being sucked into this other world, and
basically being the conduit for like the monsters from the other side.
So
Yeah.
who would be more inclined to want to just go back to the way things were
Right,
before
shrug
all
it
this?
all off and go
you
back
know?
to being a kid.
Yeah.
'Cause
So
Will had to grow up too fast.
Live in that safe
Yeah.
world of fantasy where everything's okay, that the way it was before. And it was really hard to see him finally coming to terms with having to leave that behind. And he realizes when the new flare comes back that he's like, I gotta grow up, because humanity depends on me.
Right.
That's right. Yeah, his character definitely. You can see the struggle. You feel for him. They also kind of. I don't know if this was intentional. I think it was intentional, but they kind of almost like hint at him maybe being potentially gay. Maybe.
Maybe I read.
I
Actually
couldn't
read
really
an article about
understand.
that.
Yeah, I didn't
It's like-
understand the comment from his friend where he makes a comment and it could be taken two different ways. Like, you're not interested in girls.
Oh,
is it
right, right.
because you're you haven't gotten to that point yet,
Right.
or is it because
Yeah.
you're not interested in girls?
Yeah.
So it's like, so that was kind of like a little extra thing, that maybe he's struggling with that too, like, and not, and especially the time period, being in the
especially in the 80s.
in the
that
80s, which was kind of like a lot of people were feeling
it was a
closeted
taboo
or
thing.
Well, I thought it was just personally, and I can't really say much that I didn't read or heard this theory, but I just took it as the fact that, like, when you're that age, and especially for kids, like, I developed late in life, and like I didn't get interested in girls until later than my friends did.
Yeah.
And like at that age, like, everyone's just kind of expecting you, like, oh, you should be like just like lusting after girls.
Yeah.
And if you're not, like, people look at you like, well,
You're
what's
a
the matter?
weirdo.
Are you gay? And you're like, I don't know, am I? I don't think so, but I don't know. I just don't have those feelings. That's kind of what, and I think this also goes back to him being, trying to hold on to those, the adolescent feelings, the last one to grow up. He's definitely, the one that's the least mature.
Yep.
Out of all the guys in the group.
no doubt.
Right.
So that, I thought that was really well done, showing a lot of like the struggles that young teens would be going through at this time.
Which
and
is
then-
something that Stranger Things has always done really well, is capturing the angst of childhood and teenagers.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And showing us Orange Julius. But by the way, I loved how they brought back like all the old Doritos packages and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
my
like
gosh, right?
literally, you
Classic
get
designs.
Ivory Snow on the the shelf behind Winona Ryder
Yeah.
when she's working in the pharmacy. Lots of stuff like that. The whole Billy story arc too is fantastic. You can't stand him.
No.
Yeah, they do
Billy.
give you a bit of his backstory, don't you? You can kind of sympathize with him a little bit.
Sure,
more,
abused,
Yeah.
abusive father type of thing. So you definitely feel for him on a certain level, but
abandoned by his mother. Yeah.
yeah, and of course you find out a little bit more about that. The mother in this season, and that's actually that becomes it's a linchpin for the ending, yep, I'm not going to spoil it for you.
Thank you.
Don't you worry. But that definitely comes into play. But season 3, to me, if you felt that season 2 was a little bit underwhelming, I think season 3 puts it right. And also, hints at a very stark, different direction for season 4.
Agreed.
Which is really cool.
They foreshadowed it a little bit, and you know you can kind of see like the importance that's being placed on Elle, and like you know what you thought you knew about her might not actually be what really is going on. So I'm interested to see how that pans out. I agree that I think this season has definitely been more focused. Storyline in season 2 felt disjointed, where there's like a lot of things going on, and some things didn't really tie together until probably the last either episode or 2, where we kind of saw like the threads come together. Whereas this has been very focused. Everyone's on the same page. We're fighting the Russians. You know, everyone's kind of doing their thing. Even the group split up, and I thought it was weird that you know for the second season in a row, Dustin's kind of like been separated from the main group of kids.
Yeah. He's just like doing his own thing, you know, not really doing his own thing because he's with just a different group, but yeah. But I wish we had a lineup of shot glasses and had some Smirnoff. There's an obvious little joke there.
Got any whiskey?
But yeah, to you, Smirnoff. Salud.
I thought the monsters this season were the most terrifying yet.
Absolutely.
That mind flaying mass of like human flesh and viscera is disgusting. It's so gross.
Oh yeah, and how it just can basically get down to like almost blob like you know, and then reform.
Oh, and then, like it takes like the human form and starts disintegrating, and it just looks like you know the guy's just jellifying on the ground. Oh, so gross.
Yeah,
Kinda
that
makes
whole
me think
like
of, like what you're describing because I haven't seen this yet. Kind of sounds like John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah, kind of has that feel to it.
Like that, like kind of
massive like flesh,
like eldritch kind of monstrosity that.
Yeah, and it's all like hive mind type things. You know, it's like
better.
basically you know taking people's bodies, like Body Snatcher type of thing going on. It's really cool.
Nice.
Definitely one of the
Very
more
freaky.
Like the Demodogs last year, they were okay, right?
Yeah.
The Demogorgon for season 1 was pretty darn creepy.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, Demodogs were okay, but like this year, man, this mind flare thing, this thing is it's freaky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gone to a new level of gory and horrific.
And the effects, man, unbelievably good.
Yeah. Yep. No
All
doubt
right.
about it. So definitely watch Stranger Things season 3. Many of you, I'm sure, have, but share your thoughts with us.
I'm gonna have to cram it over the next week. So.
Oh, real quick, what do
Yeah.
you think about Hopper's character this season? Because they spent so many years kind of kind of building this guy up, right?
Right.
It feels like this year he just seems like they're totally taking a dump on him.
So
He's made some bad choices.
He's made some bad choices, but then he gets redeemed at unlikely times.
Okay.
And there's also, it leads into probably the most touching and emotional part of the season as well.
So there's going to be a payoff.
There's going to be a very, very deep payoff here.
Good.
And and something I thought was going to happen did not happen. It ended up the total opposite happened of what I thought. I wish I could tell you, but it's with regards to Hopper's character and Winona Ryder's character. So, there's a lot happening there.
Will they or won't they?
And I guess you'll have to just wait another couple nights once you finish cramming through it.
Yeah, it's not going to happen tonight.
And not going to happen tonight.
This week, though.
We do want to mention a couple of things outside of the realm of Spider-Man and Stranger Things.
We're going to talk about different things.
Yeah,
Other things.
I think a lot of people are past the point of caring about this series because they know that, I mean, Netflix basically made the announcement where, you know, canceling the series.
Oh, then
Even before season 3 aired, but
you're talking about the Netflix Marvel shows.
yes, the Netflix Marvel shows, and I think it's almost like we got Jessica Jones season 3 kind of dumped, and I'll tell you, it was the best season. I thought.
Really?
Yeah, I actually enjoyed it more than any of the other ones. I loved the villain from the first season,
The Purple Man.
Purple
Kilgrave.
Man,
Yeah.
Kilgrave, Purple Man. I thought he
Such a
was
wonderful
fantastic as an individual, but I felt the season one had a lot of it was disjointed. It was a lot of up and down, episode to episode. I enjoyed one episode, and then the other one was kind
Yeah.
of eh.
The pacing was
Pacing was
offhand, it was uneven. Yeah.
exactly. Whereas season two, I felt it was a giant improvement, and then season three, I thought was their best effort thus far. And
Nice.
and I do want to encourage people to watch it. I think a lot of people were fearing that there was going to be no closure to the story because they had filmed, and then all of a sudden, after filming, it was announced that Netflix was basically pulling all their Marvel shows.
Right.
Right. And what if you ended up with some cliffhanger ending like we did with Iron Fist?
Right.
You're obviously Iron Fist season 2 introduced a whole new storyline at the end, and you're like, oh, great, we're gonna go in this direction here, and then all of a sudden, oh,
No, we're not.
we're
Nope.
canceled.
Gotcha.
Sorry, guys.
Got him.
Jessica Jones, however, did have kind of a logical ending with season 3,
Nice.
and
Nice.
and no real teaser of a new story. So it felt like there was closure. So for that, it is worth watching the season. It's worth investing your time.
Right.
Yeah, and the nature of the villain in this one, if you saw Jessica Jones season 2, you would probably know maybe a hint of where we're going with the story, with her sister. But that whole storyline is fantastic. The villain is fantastic, and I definitely recommend you guys watch it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So just something I wanted to mention.
Nice.
Was there anything that you guys wanted to throw out there?
Well, I know next month we are going to be getting our Dark Crystal series, which is done by the Jim Henson Creature Shop. It's a prequel series to the events of the Dark Crystal movie. If you guys haven't seen that yet, and you like puppets and all practical effects and no people in your movies, definitely go check that one out. That's too big of a barrel to get into right now in terms of spoilers, but
Yep.
all I'm going to say about
Maybe a hint of what's to come for a future episode here.
yes, this is definitely a future episode that we're going to be talking about. But
Okay.
all I'm going to say about the original movie was then during production, Jim Henson said that this was only a small piece of a larger world that he had envisioned and created. So this is theoretically another part of that world that we're getting. So I'm interested to see how that goes.
Cool.
I've seen some stills and behind the scenes shots, and it looks to be practical mixed with CG, or like CG backgrounds and things like that, as opposed to matte paintings.
Yeah.
But it looks to be like all your characters are practical puppets.
Awesome.
Which I'm excited about.
That is great news. Great
So
news.
that's coming out
Yep.
next month.
Yep.
I can't remember the date offhand. I think it's early August we're going to be getting that. So we might not be reviewing it.
The
when
dog
it-
days of summer have some hope.
Yes. We might not be talking about it next month, but we'll be talking about it definitely in September.
Perhaps, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like a
Well,
good bet.
I can't say definitely ever, but
Sounds like a good bet.
yes. Ken, do you have anything or?
There was an announcement this month that Sandman, the much acclaimed graphic novel by Neil Gaiman, has finally found a home after probably decades of being shopped around and then being envisioned as a movie, as a series. I believe Amazon picked it up.
I believe you're right. Yep.
And I think they announced the budget. I don't remember how much it was, but they put a buttload of money towards developing the show, which is something that it definitely needs. I have no details about who's going to be playing the characters or what story it's going to focus on, but Sandman's my favorite graphic novel, one of my favorite just pieces of literature, period.
Yep.
I think it's high watermark of the medium of comics. So I am so excited to see that it's finally given the go-ahead, that it's in production, that this is going to happen. maybe it won't be next year, but sometime in the near future, we're going to get a Sandman series, and I
Cool.
can't wait to see it.
Absolutely.
I didn't know Neil Gaiman wrote graphic novels. I know he wrote regular novels, but I didn't know he wrote graphic ones.
Yeah. He got to start doing graphic novels, believe it or not.
Huh. Cool.
That's cool. Good stuff.
Yeah.
So a lot to look forward to. That's going to conclude our pop culture episode here, but we appreciate you watching. We can't wait to see you again for next month's episode. But for now, we're going to sign off. You guys have a great month.
Bye.
Goodbye.